welcome to Picture Book Chat today. I'm Mary Ellen Bratz. I am the Public Services Manager for Early Learning, and my job entails all the programming for kids from babies on up to 8 years old. And with me today, I have Sheri Boggs. And Sheri, I'll let you introduce yourself. Hi, thank you for joining me today.
Always. It's always fun. I'm Sheri Boggs. I'm the Youth Collection Development Librarian for the Spokane County Library District. I select everything, all the youth materials from 0 up to age 18. My true love, however, is the picture books. So I really enjoy getting this chance to talk about picture books with Mary Ellen and have the chance to share it with all our customers. So the way Picture Book Chat works, if you've never joined us before, I bring a selection of books that I've picked out that are new to the library. They just arrived. They're things that I'm excited about. And I talk about what I look for as a buyer, and then I turn it over to Mary Ellen, who brings the early learning component and talks about how you might use this in a daycare setting or one-on-one with your family, or maybe in the classroom. And Mary Ellen, this is a very special Picture Book Chat today, isn't it?
It is.
This is our special holiday edition of Picture Book Chat. So we're getting lots of great holiday themed books coming in, but we're also getting a lot of books that I always think it's kind of fun. Like if you need to buy like just a little something for another family, when it's time to exchange gifts for the holidays, sometimes I think it's really fun to like just find a really fantastic picture book. So I've got a little selection of both non-holiday books that would be great for gifts and a couple of holiday books that I want to talk about today.
Awesome.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So my first one, I'm super excited. There's no words on this cover. This book is called A House, and it's by Kevin Henkes. We've talked about him before in Picture Book Chat. He's just a fantastic author and illustrator. He did Lily's Purple Plastic Purse back in the day, Wimberley Worried. He's done some middle grade novels. His picture books are just fantastic. And we've talked about, I think Summer Song was one of the ones that we did early on. Great Storytime book. I love how spare his illustrations are. This one has kind of a Tommy DePaola look to it.
It does, yes.
Yeah.
I agree on that. Yeah.
I was like, what about this is looking so familiar? And I'm like, it really looks like a Tommy DePaola book. So A House, what I love about this is it's just kind of static. There are no words on the cover. So in the dust jacket, I was like, what do you call the thing that covers the book that tells you what it's about? Woo. It talks about what makes a house a house. Is it a roof, a door, a window, a floor? So these are things that you can ask the children that you're doing this book with, what makes a house a house? So here we have a house, and they talk about where is the door, what color is it, where is the window, what shape is it? So this is already great for early learning because it talks about colors and shapes. It's got what in library circles we call dialogic reading, which is basically like you're interacting with the kids as you're telling the story and you're giving them a chance to answer questions about the book as you're going through it. So it's really all about engagement. So it talks about the time of day. You see the house in the morning. There's the sun and the birds. There's night. There's moon. There's rain. But the house, like you notice as you're going through it, it stays just the same. There's not, like everything's kind of happening around it, but there's nothing happening at the house. Like it's just a still thing. So I just love how this kind of leads into what happens next, which is, let me get to my page that I love. So you see the house again, but in this corner, something's different. There's a tiny little dog there.
Yeah.
And so stuff starts to happen. This is very exciting. Here comes a dog. Here comes a cat. Here comes some people. And I love, this is going to date me, but it looks like those Fisher-Price little people.
Yeah.
Do you remember, like, they're kind of peg-shaped?
Yeah.
And then you ask the question, what are they doing? They are coming home. And as you turn the pages, like the house comes to life. There's people in the windows, there's flowers, there's babies, the cat's up on the roof. It's just like a really simple book, but it would make like a really fun housewarming gift, I think.
Yes, definitely.
So Mary Ellen, how would you use this? What appeals about this to you?
I love the simplicity of it. So, I mean, there's lots of different levels that you can use this at, I think. The other thing I really liked at the end was the little cat looking out the window.
Oh, you've got the brown paper. I know. Book management.
And then there's just a little bit like birds flying up in the sky here too. So, and then on the back too. I mean, it really is where the title and the author's name is. But I just, you can use it as in two ways. You can just answer the questions as they are. Or you can get the kids to tell you about what they see in the picture and maybe what's different on each picture there. I also like that you can switch up the questions a little bit too. So usually with kiddos, you read it more than once. So you instead of saying like on this page, where are the birds? You can ask them, tell me about the birds in the picture. And so that you get them to be using more vocabulary as they're talking. And maybe they picked up some of the vocabulary, like some of the birds are on top of the house, some of the birds are flying. So it just gets them using more language as you're talking with them. So you can rephrase them so that they're a little bit more open-ended too. So, you know, you can say, tell me about, what do you think will happen there? What will happen next? Or how do you know, when they have some of the counting ones too. So, but you could tell a whole different story with this book. That's what I like too. You can use it in a lot of different ways. So it's a good one for building vocabulary skills, but you can use it, I think, from toddlers on up to preschoolers. So there's a pretty wide range here. So if you were doing a story time, you know, you could put this one at the end since it's a shorter book for preschoolers. You might want to put this one at the beginning for the toddler story time. Just because you're trying to get a lot more talking. It would be a good one for a family story time too. So with all ages. So yeah, I was, you always love a good Kevin Henkes book.
I know, he's so great. I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you feel like, is this a book, if you did in story time, would it hold kids' interest?
I think so, because there's a lot of interaction going on.
Okay, yeah, and that's probably what, keeps the momentum going.
Yeah, because you've got questions. So like the one with all the snow, so much snow, cool. and they ask, where is the house? Or how could you find the house? What do you need to do with all this snow? You need to shovel. I mean, there's so, and it'd be always interesting to hear what the kids are going to tell you, what you should be doing.
Like they'd say sledding.
Yes. But yes, you can extend it. So what would you do if it was snowing outside? So you can extend it like that. And then you can make up a story about the people coming into the house. Like, who are the people and what do you think they're doing that day as they're coming into the house? Are they visiting? And if they're visiting, why do you think they're visiting and what's happening? So depending on when you read it, it could be, oh, they're coming over for a birthday party, or they're coming over for Thanksgiving. So there's lots of extenders you can do with that story, I think.
Yeah, that's good. I like how something so simple like this, can be kind of deceptively simple, like there's maybe a lot more going on than it looks like. And, there are a lot of different ways you can use it. In some ways, it's almost like a blank slate for whatever.
Right. You might be tempted to put it aside because it is so simple. But then it would be a great one to get the kids really talking and telling a story, telling their own story.
Mhm.
So yeah, when you talked about, the colors and the shapes and stuff, that's great for the toddlers and everything, but then you can just extend it a little bit for the preschoolers. And
Mhm.
what else would you put on the house? What do you think is inside the house? You know, things like that.
Awesome. Well, my
Hmm.
next book is quite a bit more, what's the word, ornate, I think, than the
Hmm.
one we just did. And this one is It Fell from the Sky by the Fan Brothers. I'm trying to hold it up so the glare isn't too bad. But the Fan Brothers, I love their work. They're two Canadian brothers. I think they both live and work out of Toronto. They're most famous. They've done a number of books, but their first one was The Night Gardener, which was this
Yes.
gorgeous, really detailed story with topiary, and their stuff is just incredibly detailed. And there's just so much to look at. And first of all, I just love how attention grabbing this cover is. Like, this marble is just luminous and there's silver letters. It's just like really appealing to look at
Hmm.
just as an object, but the story is fantastic too. And I'll see if I can try to do it justice, but I like even the details like this on the front page. It fell from the sky. I love how there's this motion going down and you see the marble falling. So
Yeah.
it kicks off the story right away. So this marble falls, and all the little creatures that live in the forest come to check it out. And there's all this great detail. As you look, you can see that the insects, a lot of them are wearing top hats
Yeah.
for no discernible reason.
Yeah.
I love the kind of old-fashioned Victorian nature of it.
It's very
Um,
whimsical.
yeah, it is. And I love that
Hmm.
it's kind of in this forest of dandelions. There's a little clue on this page. You can see the furry legs of a spider peeking out
Yeah.
from
Hmm.
behind the rock, as all these characters talk about whatever this thing could be and what it is. I love that the walking stick likes that there's finally something just as weird as he is.
Yeah.
The frog tries to eat it,
Yeah.
doesn't care for it. Um, just beautiful stuff. The dung beetle made me laugh.
Yes.
It's too heavy to move. So they're all talking about what this thing is and what to do with it. This page is really gorgeous. The Luna moth finds it
Hmm.
and thinks that it's a chrysalis that she needs to keep warm. So just gorgeous lead up. And then comes the day where the spider, being ever so opportunistic, says, well, obviously it's mine because it fell in my web, which nobody remembers being there the day before.
Yeah.
So we've got this kind of duplicitous and opportunistic spider who gets the idea that he wants to have sort of an amusement park dedicated to this thing that fell from the sky called Wonderville. And so here you see them kind of building up this thing. It takes weeks to open his little park. He makes all the insects bring leaves for admission. And when
Hmm.
the lines get long, he even raises the admission. So people have to bring 2 leaves. There he is collecting the money. It's just, I love this. And he becomes wealthy beyond imagination.
Yeah.
So gorgeous detail. I love this. This kind of reminded me of Chris Van Allsburg's work. Suddenly the
Oh.
hand
Hmm.
appears from the sky and takes the marble back. And this is where the story takes a turn. It's been this story of, kind of greed, taking advantage of a situation. And suddenly the spider's wall is ruined. You know,
Hmm.
the object is gone. All the insects kind of go away because there's no reason to be there anymore. And I love, this is probably my favorite spread in this whole gorgeous book, but during the night, the spider kind of has a come to Jesus talk with himself, and kind of looks at his actions and thinks about, where he is now and what kind of led him to this place. And he realizes that, you know, what's even better than, having this thing that you're kind of hoarding and charging people to look at is actually sharing it for free. So it kind of ends on this great moral, but it's also just a beautiful thing. And he builds all these gorgeous spider webs to share. He's not charging admission. And then I love this. The spider webs start to catch other things from the sky, and then the color comes into the illustrations.
Yes, that's beautiful.
And by the end, you just have, like, I just got goosebumps looking at this. Like, you've got these wonderful little things from childhood, like these chain of monkeys. You've got those of us with gamers in our house know the little, is that a dodecahedron? I
Yeah.
don't even know if I'm saying it right. Thumbtacks. It's just this wonderful little miniature world.
Yeah.
And I love the last page here. So it's just a really lovely book to kind of pour over and just kind of soak up all these beautiful details. I think with the bugs, even like on a couple of the pages, they're identifying what it is, but I think it can be a lot of fun to try to guess what kind of bugs these are when you look at like the patterns and everything.
Yeah.
Mary Ellen, tell me what you think of this book.
It's just gorgeous. That's what caught my eye at first with this book, was just the detail in the black and white photos. We talk about this in regards to early learning, but wouldn't this be a fun one to use with an art class too?
Yes.
Because of just the use of the black and white and the shading, so the grays in there, and then adding the color too. So I love the detail. I love the way they add the color. One of the things I thought of was having the kids try to guess what the wonder is that fell from the sky, because it might not be apparent right away that it's actually a marble. So you might want to do some scaffolding beforehand, before introducing the book, and maybe play a game of marbles with the preschoolers and show them what they are, and then read the book to see if they pick up on it, that it is actually a marble. There's also some great vocabulary in here that I thought would be really good to use and talk about too. And of course, all the insects. This would be great to use as a kind of fun fantasy type thing for a unit for insects. So I just thought, and so you could really go into all the different kinds of insects that are there too, and just use this as a basis or a start to an insect unit. And then of course you can talk about how a spider is not really an insect, it's a different thing, it's an arachnid, and what is the difference there too. I also thought that you could really talk about kind of all the things that they're seeing at the end too, all the different toys and everything too in here. And you could have them do their own artwork based off the book too, just to get the kids kind of into that. How would you draw your insects? Would they have hats on? Would they be holding an umbrella? I think the last page, there's the little caterpillar with the umbrella here. That's just so adorable too.
Oh, I love that.
They really make the bugs look cute. I mean, the spider isn't really scary looking at all.
No, he's just kind of goofy.
Yeah, kind of fuzzy and, so yes, just, I mean, the detail on this, I look at the, from this page, like the toad's face and the expression, like even on the back, like the mushroom here, just, I was very taken with this artistically as well as with the story. So I think it would make a great gift book, it just for any occasion. Just anytime you need a book, this would be a great one. I would definitely say it's preschool,
yeah,
and older. But I think, or any little guy, any little preschooler who's interested in bugs will surely fall in love with this.
Yeah.
And yeah, kind of a really fun one to use. And yeah, that was a fun surprise. I just wasn't expecting it. And I love the night gardener. So I was just really, really happy to see that they came out with something else. So
yeah, there's usually a couple years between books, and you can really see why from these guys, because just like the amount of work and detail that goes into producing something like this. Yeah, like it's astonishing.
Yeah, the artwork and the storyline. So, you could even get into with it, well, he's kind of an industrious spider, but should they really trust him? Like, why is he the one making all the money? I mean, you could get into some
Right.
really interesting questions with the kids around
Right.
that.
A little capitalism chat.
Yes.
I know, and the whole thing about the spider web, that wasn't there the day before. Like,
Right. Like they didn't remember that. Was he being totally truthful?
right.
Yeah. Could you work in something about honesty? That's, it's subtle in the book, but
Yeah. Yeah. Or
um,
trusting your own perceptions enough to be like,
mhm.
it wasn't there. Yeah, I love this one a lot. And I think your idea about how this would be good to use with an art class
Mhm.
is great. This is one, there are classes, on how to write a picture book. And this is definitely one that I would pick for a curriculum for something like that, because
Mhm.
as you were talking about, when I was saying the thing about how it would take a long time to do the illustrations and you pointed out the story, that's something people don't realize, like how hard it really is to write a picture book, because it
Right.
is really hard to keep the text minimal and but yet convey everything, keep the story moving, convey everything that you need to, and there's a real art to it. And in this case, like the illustrations and the text just work hand in hand so well.
Mhm.
There's just like this cleverness throughout that I really love. So
Yeah.
I just can't say enough good about this book. I think I'm going to have to buy this one for myself for home.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see if it shows up on the Caldecott list.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Because that's
Mhm.
coming up in January.
Yes.
Fingers crossed. So
Yeah.
I'm going to switch gears to
Yes.
our holiday books. And we're going to talk about 20 big trucks in the middle of Christmas. Back this up a little so people can actually see it. So you've got Christmas, you've got trucks, you've got 20 trucks, all different kinds of trucks. So, like everybody watching this can probably think of at least a kid or two that this book would be perfect for.
Definitely.
And it's another one where I really like how they've handled the text. It's pretty minimal. It rhymes. So it starts out, one donut truck on a cold winter day drives into town and parks and stays. And Mary Ellen, what kind of truck do we have here?
Ooh, it's a pink truck with the donut on top.
A donut on top, exactly. So right away, this book has my interest.
Yeah.
And we've got this adorable little town in winter where the donut truck is the first to arrive, but then we've got a snowplow and a sander, a truck bringing in a big Christmas tree. And at first I was thinking of the Rockefeller Christmas tree, but I love that this is actually more of a small town. And like every town has their, I know Spokane, we usually have a big tree downtown. Out here in Millwood, where the Argonne Library is, there's a big tree. When I worked in Centralia, they had a big tree in the park. So I love that this, kind of community tree lighting is a thing that kids might already be familiar with, even if they live in a city the size of Spokane, they might be familiar with this. So you've got the truck that drills the hole. You've got the trucks with all the decorations. So I just love the scale of this too. Like you've got these great big trucks loaded with all this stuff. The trucks are different colors, so that can be like a color identification thing for kids. And you see the brother and sister up here sledding. They're making snowmen down here. So there's just kind of a lot going on in the illustrations. They're decorating the truck. Carolers are coming. So there's stuff to count in every page. There's a disaster when the choir van breaks down. Again, a purple truck. Santa's sleigh is coming. On this page, it invites you to count the kids and the dads and the babies and the mamas. And so you can kind of count all the little characters off to the sidelines. And so it's building up to this moment where they're trying to put the star on the top of the tree, and oh no, that thing comes crashing down. It's very dramatic. And I love this page. Like you can see the broken star on the ground and they're trying to figure out what to do. And like just off to the side here, you can see the little donut from the donut truck. And I love that the kids are pointing at it. And it's just like, it's really subtle. Like I didn't even quite notice it until I got to the end of the book and I was like, oh, okay. So I love that the kids kind of saved the day with this. I'm just going to go ahead and spoil it because it's really fun. They decide to put the donut on top of the tree. And so everybody cooperates. The donut truck driver is just like, yeah, you can have the donut. Like, I love all the cooperation in this book. I love that even though there's a lot going on, the illustrations aren't terribly complicated. Like, I feel like this would be good for probably a younger audience than the book that we just did. It's quite a bit simpler. So it's just like a fun holiday story. It's got the counting, it's got the trucks, it's got community. Mary Ellen, what do you see in this book?
Oh, lots. I mean, I love that there's the counting in it. So this is great for, you know, working on those math skills too. And just like you said, anything that combines counting and rhyming, trucks, and vocabulary, this really makes it a fun read and a great gift, I think. If you're looking for a gift as a, you know, for a young child, I would say it's probably good for that 3 years old and up crowd. If you've got a very precocious 2-year-old who loves rhyming and loves trucks, I think they'll really get into it, definitely. There's lots to look at in each picture, so you can really do some talking about what's going on, especially, you know, with the fire truck, with the ladder and the cherry picker, too. I just think, yeah, this would be a child who loves trucks. This is going to be their dream book here. And you can talk about what's happening, like what's going on the inside of each truck. What is each truck doing? Because like this here, they're unloading the little house, what looks like a little gingerbread house. They talk about like a generator. I mean, there's great vocabulary in here.
I also love that it's, oh, go ahead.
Oh, no.
Oh, I just, sorry. I just felt the need to like jump in and like, I love how involved this community celebration is. Like, you know, once we're talking about generators and cherry pickers and like and all of that scenery, I was just like, wow, this town's got it going on.
Yeah, well, it's a great book talking about teamwork too.
Yeah.
And helping each other out. I think that's kind of a great kind of back theme to it, is that, you know, they're helping each other out. So yeah, just a really fun story to do this. You know, you can actually ask them, well, what would you have put on top of the tree? You know, would you have put the donut on top of the tree? What would you have put on top of the tree? So, I mean, there's some other things that you can ask, and you can ask, you know, what was your favorite truck and why? Which truck would you like to drive and work? I mean, there's so many great trucks in here, the digger, the snowplow, the sander, just so much fun. And that they're embracing winter, right?
Right.
Even though the adults are a little hesitant about winter arriving, you know, this whole, you know, it's all about embracing winter and the snow coming. So.
Not sitting in your house crying.
Yes.
We sometimes do in Spokane. I just noticed too that this, I had forgotten that this author also did 20 Big Trucks in the Middle of the Street, which is another fun book. It's probably about 5 years old, I think.
But yeah, the artwork in here is just beautiful too. It's, you know, very different than the last one we read, but it's still beautiful too. And just the expressions on the people's faces, especially when the star breaks, and just, you know, you've got some multicultural, you've got some diversity in the people too, in the story too, which is nice to see. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting, good details about this book that you could bring to light too as you're reading through it. So yes, a good holiday gift, I think.
Well, we've got 2 more. Kind of on a similar theme. And what's funny, this happens sometimes in publishing where you'll have a couple of new, sometimes even 3 books will come out on the exact same story. And so this year, we've got 2 from different publishers about the little owl in the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. So this is a lot of fun. It's really fun to compare them when they come out like this. One comes to us from, let's see, what's this publisher? Beach Lane Books, and the other comes from Little Brown and Company. So I think let's start with the simple one first, The Little Owl in the Big Tree, A Christmas Story by Jonah Winter and Jeanette Winter. And they've done a number of picture books before, and they're all kind of this size. They have like a folk art look to them. It's very simple. There once was an owl who lived in a tree. The only thing I would want for this book would be for the size to be bigger, just for sharing. Like, these are just gorgeous illustrations. And
yes,
I don't know if they wanted to keep it small, you know, thinking like maybe beginning readers. I'm not sure what the decision is behind keeping the size a little bit smaller than your typical picture book.
yeah, I don't think, I think
the text is too small.
Yeah, is good for beginning readers, but it might be good for those that are just on the brink of really, having gotten down the whole decoding language. And so, but there's a lot of vocabulary in here too. So
yeah, like the kind of owl it is. It's a northern saw-whet owl, which I guess is the tiniest owl in the eastern United States. Here she is in her burrow in the tree.
Yes.
So yeah, there is a lot of detail. I like these almost kind of impressionistic paintings that make these illustrations, like it's just kind of like points of paint that are making the details in the little owl's feathers. And this, of course, it's the true story is the big Rockefeller Center tree came from this little farm. I think it was in upstate New York. One of the books has a map, and they get the thing there, and when they're unloading it, they find out this tiny little owl is still in the tree. So I think it's the truck driver's wife. Anyway, somebody's spouse works with injured animals, and so takes care of the little owl before they can return it back to the farm where it came from. So it's a really sweet story. Here's the guy discovering the owl. I love how they did this, like with the 2 facing pages. It's really great. And I love how the hand goes through both sides of the
yes, I love that. That was great.
Yeah. Here she is being taken care of. I think at one point they give her, this page made me laugh. They give her mice.
Yeah.
For her to get better. And she is an owl. That's what they eat. Yeah. But I love that, you just see the back of her. Like, there is some delicacy to the matter.
Yeah.
And here she is letting her go. So I love the natural world in this, even the scenes that take place in the city. There's hardly any of the city here, like what little there is, just a couple pages, and it's just kind of expressed in these little zigzaggy lines to connote, maybe bright lights and loud noises. And so this one I really like, and it's fun to compare to the Christmas Owl, which is quite a bit different.
Yes.
And does really show, like New York City at Christmas time in all of its glory. You see the Rockefeller Center tree all lit up behind it. This one is quite a bit more fanciful because the owl flies back to the tree in New York to see it, which I don't think really happened.
No.
And here again, here's the little owl hiding in the tree. Or not really hiding, being caught up in the tree. And this one goes quite a bit more into the woman taking care of the owl and what goes into taking care of the owl. I really appreciated that. Like, I thought kids that are really, all those kids that want to grow up to be a veterinarian and like really like animals, I think this will really speak to them. And I just love the natural landscape here with the way the light is all kind of sunsetty, all those beautiful pastel colors and the snow. And then this page just takes your breath away.
Yes.
The tree in New York, the ice skaters, that golden statue. I love this picture of her flying over the city. So this one would definitely, I think, be for older kids. It's kind of a different treatment of the story, but like this one again, I think this would be a great gift book for this season.
Definitely.
What do you think, Mary Ellen?
Yeah, I like them both. I think what I really liked about the second one too, I mean, well, the artwork in both was just lovely. I just thought the folk art, I had noticed that it's more of a folk art in the first one. And both of these would be great to use with an owl unit too, if you were using it in school, because it mentions Christmas, but it doesn't really go into Christmas. It talks about, you know, the Christmas tree and how they found the owl. Yeah, what I really liked about the site, well, this page here with all the animals, look, I mean, they did take a lot of liberties with the story, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, just art-wise, this is just stunning, and the use of light and everything too. So yeah, they took much more liberties with the story, but at the same time, I love what they did is they have the note in the back from the author, and then they have the real story of Rockefeller, the little owl too. So they, which I think would be great to show the kids that yes, they made the story about it, but this is really, you know, what happened, and we can read about it here. I also love the map at the front of this too. In fact, I saw Oneonta, that's where my niece went to college. And so my family's from upstate New York, the Albany area, Schenectady area, and a little bit further up, we've got family that's really up north too. So, but yeah, this was just nice to see. It kind of gives them a feeling of a little bit more of a feeling of the distance, maybe that it takes to get there. So I thought that was nice what they did. And just, you know, the back, they show her flying over the city. Yeah, I thought it would be, I think it's great to compare these two to the kids and, you know, talk about the differences when telling a story. How would you have maybe told the story after reading, you know, what really happened? What might have you done differently when telling the story? And I think it's a great jumping off point between fiction and nonfiction. Because while this was based on what happened, it wasn't totally, the stories aren't totally nonfiction, right? But they have a basis in nonfiction. So you know, for older kids, you could get into talking about the difference between fiction and nonfiction too. So yeah, just a really kind of different holiday story. Than, you know, the traditional holiday stories. And, you know, it's kind of when we talk about, you know, gift books, any topic that catches a child's attention makes a good gift book. Anything that'll get them interested in reading. When it comes to us picking out books for the collection, we're oftentimes just tied to what the publishers are putting out. So it's just nice to find some things that are a little bit different. And you know, talk about community. Both of these are about community and helping, you know, with the 20 trucks, and then the you know, somebody finding the little owl, and then, you know, trying to find some help for it. So you know, again, that kind of helping community aspect comes through. So
and I like that like these are holiday books that don't have anything to do with gifts.
Yes.
You know, or materialism. And I didn't pick them for that reason. Like it just kind of occurred to me like that's kind of a side effect of picking these. But yeah, I like that, you know, because when I talk about publishers doing, you know, the same book sometimes, you know, like you'll also see like new renditions of the classics every year. Like this year, I think I've ordered 3 different brand new Night Before Christmas. There's a couple new Nutcrackers, you know, and as older things wear out and go out of print, it's always good to have new stuff. But I love having fresh stories to add to the mix. And I love that these are all also, kind of set in the natural world, like
Mhm.
these go outside and in nature for the holidays,
Mhm.
which is another thing that you don't always see.
Mhm. Yeah.
So lots of fun.
Yes. Yeah. So another great set of books, and um yeah, we'll see what comes in for next month,
Yeah.
and just see what else will show up for us.
Mhm.
And sometimes we don't see some of the newer stuff until after the fact either. So especially when it
Right.
comes to any type of holiday, it doesn't matter whether it's Hanukkah, 4th of July, a lot of times we just don't see things until after the fact.
Mhm.
So,
That's especially this true with, everybody talks about this, the supply chain, and we've
yeah.
been pretty lucky here at the library. Like a lot of things that we're ordering are coming in, but I'm aware of a couple stragglers that hope we get them
Mhm.
before Christmas, but we might not see some things until January. So
Right.
that's a really good point.
Hmm.
That some of this stuff might not arrive when we want it to, or
Right.
be as current with what the season
Yeah.
is.
And for us to talk about it too.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, but it was fun talking about these. I feel like we had a good collection with a lot of great artwork in it too. So
Yeah.
that's always fun.
Fun
Um,
batch.
yeah, fun to see. So yeah, so thank you again for joining me, Sheri, and
You're always
it's
welcome,
fun
Mary Ellen.
talking books. So we're looking forward to next month too. So we hope that you'll join us again. And thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope that you enjoyed the selections that we had for you today. So again, thank you for joining us for Picture Book Chat, and we'll see you in our next episode. Bye.
Bye.